My name is Kevin Primus, and I'm the current year's president for the Rotary E-Club of District 7710. And we are excited to have our membership together to be chartered. And what we like to do at the beginning of most of the meetings is to just let everyone know who's on the call. If you're watching or viewing on your home computer or a desktop computer, even a smartphone, I believe, you can see under attendees those who are also viewing in that manner. But for those that are calling in, their names don't appear on the attendees list. So my name again is Kevin Primus. I'm here in Durham, North Carolina. And Boyd, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Boyd Strain. I'm one of the founding members of the E-Club, retired professor from Duke, an ecologist, so I'm really looking forward to our presentation tonight.
That's great. Dilshad, are you available?
Yes, yeah, hi everybody. I'm Dilshad Jaff. I'm also a member of the club and currently working at the UNC Gillens Global Gateway.
Fantastic. Ed.
Ed Gomes, I work at Duke University. I can hear an echo in the background. I'm the treasurer of the E-Club, and I guess some sort of pre-presidential.
So in case you didn't hear that, I'll just echo what he said. Just kidding. And I think probably whatever's going on, I'm sure when you mute your microphone, it'll all go away. And if we have problems later, we can use the chat room. But sometimes another challenge with GoToMeeting is each computer interacts differently, and sometimes we have to adjust our own settings. But Ed, thank you. Ed is the treasurer and president nominee, is what he was saying. Exactly. All our Rotary speak here. Eve.
Hi everyone, I'm Eve Marion. I also work at Duke University, and I am the director of programs this year, and I'm a chapter as well.
Fantastic. Gianne is about to unmute and introduce herself.
Hi, this is Gianne. I'm the secretary. I work at Investment Tamarack, a financial software firm that's headquartered in Seattle, and our office is located in downtown Raleigh. And I'm excited to be here. And I'm also excited to hear about Piedmont Wildlife Center because my husband has worked at the camps for the past several years, so I'm interested to learn what's he doing besides the swamp crawls and beehives and all the other stories I hear.
Great. Joe Reardon, are you available?
Hi, I'm Joe Reardon. I work in the emergency room at Duke University, and I am glad to be joining you all. And between Duke Forest and Eno River and Umstead State Park, I love to be outside and love to hear what Piedmont Wildlife Center is doing.
Great. And before we introduce our speaker, well, Karen, you can go ahead and give yourself, just at least let us know where you are, and we'll give you a good introduction a little later.
So, yes, this is Karen McCall. I am the education coordinator with Piedmont Wildlife Center, and I am set up in our office, which is located in Lee Farm Park, and it's actually a slave cabin that was built in 1738. Am I even saying that right? I should know better, 1638. And it was added on to, so I don't know how much you can see behind me, but it's kind of a neat and strange place to be all at once.
Wow. Is there anyone else that's calling in Victoria's here. Victoria, if you could introduce yourself. I think you're muted right now. Here we go.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Thornton, and we live in Duke Forest, so I love wildlife. I loved it even before we lived in Duke Forest, and I'm interested to hear your story.
That's great. Is there anyone else that's not on our list that's calling in?
Yes, Kevin. Hi. This is Racine Mitchell-Sinclair. I wanted to call in for two reasons. First of all, I wanted to congratulate you and your group on their charter. I was out of town and not able to attend your party, so congratulations. And second, I was fascinated by your speaker this evening.
Racine, we're glad you could be with us, and thank you for all your service to Rotary, to our district, and Rotarians all over. I know that you've been so active, and one of the first people whose names I heard in practically every meeting was Racine Sinclair. Service with the Girl Scouts too, I understand.
I did. For 5 years, I helped consolidate some Girl Scout councils, and before that, I had 25 years with IBM. So when you've got a name like Racine, you can't. It can be good or bad. You know, everybody recognizes it either way. So.
Well, Karen, it sounds like
you're a blessing.
That's right. Karen, it sounds like you're going to have some good questions at the end of your presentation here tonight. Anyone else calling in? Okay, so I'm going to go turn this over to Jeanne and see if there are any announcements that we need to make before your presentation, and then back over to Eve to introduce you properly. So Jeanne?
Thanks, Kevin. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the past 2 weekends have been dedicated to our crayons to calculators helping out fill that bus 2 Saturdays ago, and then this past Saturday we helped with the new teacher giveaway. There was a $9,200 district grant from the Durham, Southwest Durham, Durham Sunrise, North Durham, and RTT Rotary Clubs. And with that money, Crayons to Calculators hosted a giveaway event that supports close to 200 teachers every year. And this year, I believe it was, we start off with helping 121 teachers in about 2.5, 3 hours. And so there were, from the Fill That Bus event, there were supplies, everything from crayons to scissors to calculators to paper to sentence strips to ribbon, everything that teachers could use to decorate their classrooms. And so they collected those items, and then we helped check them out. And it was a great event. There were a lot of people there, and it was wonderful. So pictures are up on Facebook. And then this Sunday is the Saba Saba Tanzania event presented by Sister Cities of Durham, Arusha Committee. It'll be Sunday from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Durham Central Park. I believe there may be a meeting or some representation of our club at this Sunday. Ed, do you have an update on that?
I don't have much of an update. I put a request for people to participate in the events if they could volunteer. I've received a couple of responses. Certainly hope that people have the opportunity to go down and participate in the event and put some time in so that we can help raise awareness to this, as well as to talk to people about the E-Club in case people are interested in hearing about it.
Okay, great. Thanks. So if you're part of the Foundation and International Committee, reply back to Ed so we can make sure we have representation of the E-Club at the Saba Saba event. And there are a couple things coming up. On September 27th, there's our Global Run for Water that will be at the WakeMed the soccer center, and there are also raffle tickets that they're selling for $20 each, and they're limited to 100 tickets for a 16 by 20 framed oil painting by Rotarian George Lewis. And so it's this beautiful wildflower painting of wildflowers. So this will be available as a raffle with and you can reach out to Scott, or I'll follow up with me, but I'll include it in the email update after the meeting if you're interested in selling tickets or purchasing tickets for yourself as well. So, and that's it for now. Oh, actually, Kevin, I had wanted to ask this. Do you know anything, any more updates about the candles for the
For the
Rotary Peace Candle?
International Day of Peace.
Yes.
So our district governor, Newman Aguiar, has encouraged us to celebrate with the Downtown Durham Rotary their 100th anniversary. And a big event is on the weekend of September 21st, which is the International Day of Peace. And so let me see where this is. If you check on our district calendar, there's more news about this at rotary7710.org. And I'm trying to find it. I'm sorry I don't have it right here to show you. But basically, we have small candles that we're selling for $5, and $2.50, I believe, comes back to our club. And there's candles that are going to be sold and going to be displayed all over Durham and hopefully all over District 7710 on this Day of Peace. And it's an event that's been a long time in developing, and I'll be very brief, but especially got a lot of wind right after September 11th in 2001. There was supposed to be the very first International Day of Peace, and of course, when September 11th happened, that unfortunately undermined the idea of taking one day in the whole year where all over the world there would be ceasefires and humanitarian aid could come in and do the work that the humanitarian groups wanted to do without having the concern of war and conflict. Our member Dilshad Jaff is really fervent about this idea of making sure we can understand armed conflict and how do we affect change and how do we get humanitarian healthcare in and allow them to be safe to do their work in these conflict zones. And so this International Day of Peace is something that's very important to our district because we have the Rotary Peace Center here, but also to the world and to those people who are in those conflict zones. It's really important that we raise awareness and that it's more than awareness, that there's actually peace so that people can get the aid that they need despite the wars that are started and ongoing throughout the world. We can continue to talk about this in weeks to come, but it is important. Thank you for letting us share that this is an event that we will be having and basically participating in that's going on all around the world, but we're celebrating it in a special way here in District 7710.
Great, thanks, Kevin. I found the link on the website, so I will include it in the updates after tonight's program. And before we begin, I think we have a couple, at least one more person who might have joined. I see Daniela, or at least.
Hi, I'm here. Yes.
Hey, Daniela.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Sorry, I've been missing some of. It's good. It's good. I've been attending some of the Rotary meetings here. I attended twice the DC or DuPont Rotary meeting, which is composed mainly by Peace Fellows, and then the I think Capitol Hill meeting or Washington DC meeting. So it was really interesting. I'm just looking forward to connect with other Rotarians in the city.
Well, thanks for joining tonight.
Yes, thank you.
So those are all the updates I have for now. I'll give it back to you, Kevin.
So Eve Marion is our program's chair, and what Eve really loves to do is to give introductions to our speakers. And so Eve, if you are ready, if you can help us to understand why we should sit on the edge of our seats tonight.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We're happy to have you, and we're very excited to welcome this evening's speakers, Karen McCall from the Piedmont Wildlife Center. Karen grew up in Chapel Hill, spending much of her life outside immersed in nature. She has spent many years along the southeast coast and in the tropics studying varying ecosystems. For more than 10 years, she has been working in environmental education in the Charlotte and Durham area, and she has a BS degree in math from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. She joined Piedmont Wildlife Center as their education coordinator in May of 2012. Thank you, Karen, for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Eve. During my physical, my doctor asked me about my daily activity level, and so I described a typical day this way. Well, yesterday afternoon, I waded along the edge of the lake, escaped from wild dogs in the heavy brush, marched up and down several rocky hills, stood in a patch of poison ivy, crawled out of quicksand, jumped away from an aggressive rattlesnake, and explored several routes around big trees. Inspired by the story, the doctor said, "Wow, you must be one heck of an outdoors woman." To which I replied, "No, I'm really just a lousy golfer." So, and often when I do play golf, and often when I'm out on courses, I like to look for nature, and sometimes I might find little things like this. This is Penelope Possum. Hopefully you guys can see her. For those that can't, she is a Virginia opossum, but we always drop the O and say possum. And she is one of yeah, we just say possum. And so she is one of our ambassador species here at Piedmont Wildlife Center. And she wanted me to share a quote from Aristotle from his Parts of Animals that goes like this: "In all things nature, there is something of the marvelous." As Eve mentioned, I'm the education coordinator here at Piedmont Wildlife Center, where we are a nonprofit. We were founded in 2003, mainly as a wildlife hospital at that time, rehabilitation hospital. And then they added an education component to it. And then around 2007, the education and hospital components decided to part ways. And Piedmont Wildlife Center Education ended up here at Lee Farm Park, which is a Durham City park on the south side, just outside of the Orange County border, off of I-40. And we have now been here since then and have both an education and conservation division to our organization. And like I said, PD is one of those ambassador species from our conservation program. Our mission is to foster healthy connections among people, wildlife, and nature. And we do this through outdoor programs for all ages, children to adults, offering programs both in classrooms, assemblies, after-school programs, outreach events like having booths that these animals that I will share some of them with you tonight go to at the state fair, at the festivals, the Duke Homestead, things like that. We offer a weekly homeschool program, adult programs, special events, and of course summer and intersession camps and a WildNet hotline. So I thought I'd share a little bit about our conservation division first, and then go a little bit into our education and just kind of give you an overview of what we do, and then be glad to take questions on any of those things. Our education and conservation efforts arose from the need to reduce what we call nature deficit disorder and conserve key parts of our environment, which will ultimately provide a better quality of life and a more sustainable, healthy community for all of us. Like I mentioned a minute ago, we have what's called a WildNet hotline. This was developed to bridge the gap between citizens, animals, rehabilitators, and veterinarians, and it's a communication network between all those entities. The conservation coordinator heads that up, and she has volunteers that help man that. It is a line, a phone number that people can call 7 days a week from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. And we use it to educate the public on when they find these injured or what they feel is an injured animal in the wild and they want to help it. We help to figure out if the animal actually needs help, educate them on their life habits, and then reduce the amount of calls that are going through the rehabilitators and the veterinarian offices. We had over 700 calls last year, and a third of those calls we were able to just give advice only and help people understand why they need to put that animal back in the wild, and then it's perfectly okay, even though it's not raised the way people are, and that's the hardest bridge to gap. We also have a box turtle project, which has been a statewide effort, but we have a large study here on Piedmont Wildlife Center property, or I should say on Lee Farm Park property, where we have identified and marked every box turtle that we find in the park. 8 of them have transmitters on them, so we can actually go out and track them through telemetry and see what their movements are, what their hibernation habits are. what their territory range is, and if it's overlapping. It's been a pretty interesting project to follow. And this data is used in collaboration with statewide population estimates. They really thought about putting the box turtle on the threatened species list because of the decline a lot from habitat, and they also think a lot of the turtles were getting shipped out to foreign markets for food, actually. We're working on a photo ID app so that if a turtle is found or you find a turtle, you can look up and compare that shell of that turtle to shells on that app and see if, oh yes, this turtle has been identified before and this is where I've now found it. I think it's going to work on GPS points. I'm not positive about that. They're still in the early workings of it, but we're pretty excited about that because we'll be able to obviously track larger populations across the state and also get more citizens involved, which is also helpful not only for them but for the turtles, and hopefully push some science interest along. In our park here, we've actually marked over 150 box turtles, which is pretty incredible. We're on about 82 acres of land, so to be that small and covering 150 turtles for that area is evidently pretty rare. We haven't heard of that big of a population in many of the other areas across the state. Another thing that we're doing here in the park is an inventory of all the flora and fauna in the park, and that is done through a BioBlitz, which is basically a 24-hour event that starts on a Friday evening and goes until a Saturday evening. The last one we did was at the beginning of June. That was our second one. Our first one was about a year and a half ago in the spring. We go out with specialists who are looking at moths and amphibians and bats and all sorts of plants, like I said, flora and fauna. We had mushroom people here, but it gives people a chance, citizens a chance to come join those scientists and learn from experts, and then also help them collect data. They'll collect the species, come back and identify it, and then record them. They really find some very interesting things. I feel like I'm very connected, and then come out and find out that, oh, we found 640 species here in the park. 3 of those species had never been recorded in North Carolina. One of the species, which was a nocturnal insect called Agalia modesta, is the first species recorded here in the U.S. It is a tiny insect. They filmed it with a macro lens. I believe that the photo is on our Facebook page, and if not, it will be on our website soon. That species has been recorded from Panama to Mexico, so very interesting that they found it over here. And like again, I said, it was very tiny. They also found a lot of what they call micro moths, which I never knew existed, but these things are about the size of a pinhead. And when you look at them under a big lens, they have these beautiful colors and look very tropical. And other than that, we could probably inhale them through our nose and not even know the difference. So, like I said, very amazing, all the different things that are around here that we don't even realize. And then lastly, with conservation, like I said, Petey the possum is one of what we call an ambassador species. We also have snakes that are native to North Carolina here. We have a couple of box turtles. I have one of our box turtles here. This is Shelly, which is an eastern box turtle, female. And we have a rabbit that someone found and brought to us. We have a bearded dragon, and we have a dove, which is a frizzled dove, along with a few owls and some hawks. And we take these out to all those events I mentioned earlier to help educate the people. It's a great opportunity for people to experience these animals that are usually very hard to see, or it's definitely hard to see close up in the wild. They get used during birthday parties that we do, during classes, our field trips, our camps. We do owl prowls and school programs. And the possum is now chewing on my finger. And volunteers really help us out a lot for this, as well as the WildNet hotline, by helping with feeding and cleaning cages, and as well as going in and participating in those outreach events that we do with the public. So it's a really unique opportunity. The kids, that's one of their favorite things when they're here at camp, is to come in the cabin and see all these animals and be able to have an encounter with them. So that's basically the conservation side. On the education side, as I mentioned, camps. We've just finished our summer camps last week. We were still having people call at Friday at 5 o'clock last week to see if we had camps this week for 3- and 4-year-olds, but unfortunately we don't, and I don't know that my staff would have been able to manage another week of camp. They've been going pretty hard, 10 weeks outdoors all summer long. We do both summer and intersession camps for those kids that are in year-round school. We have also started to run camps at Umstead Park in Raleigh. We started there last year. We operate out of the Crabtree entrance, and each week we've had at least 70 kids here at Piedmont Wildlife Center in our camps, and about 10 average in Raleigh, up to 20, and those ages range from 4 to 17 years. We do offer just teen camps as well. We spend time together as a whole group, so all those ages might be all together for a little while during camp, and then they break into smaller, what we call clans, that are more age group ranges depending on what we have signed up. So if we have a camp that has 4- and 5-year-olds and a decent mix, we might have 4-, 5-, and 6-year-olds together in one clan, 7, 8, 9s in another, 10 and up in a third clan, and then sometimes those get broken down. Usually it's 20 per clan with 2 full-time counselors and an intern, and then we also have counselors in training, which are teenagers, a lot of whom grew up in our camps and now are learning to be leaders as well. So it's a pretty fun way to involve everyone together and all learn from each other and build a nice community here. We also have an opportunity to do some camps with some kids from China through Global Education Institute, which is an organization affiliated with UNC that brings kids here from different countries in South America, as well as China. So we had about 47 kids this summer that were high school age from China, from different areas, and their experience with nature over there is to basically go up on a bus, from what I understand, get out, take a picture, and get back on the bus. So very little interaction with nature. So when the group comes here as extracurricular activities, one of the things they requested for us is to teach them nature programs and give them that outdoor experience that they miss back home. So all of those camps, all of our programs connect people with nature and take place outside unless we have very severe weather. As you can see, hopefully if you visit our website and look at our camp page, you see a lot of the camps that we offered this past summer. I'm going to give you a few of those names and explain a little bit of them. One of our camps is Ancient Ways. We have a bushcraft camp, one called Deep Forest, Fox Walker, Woodland Games, Archery, Swamp Crawler, as Jan mentioned, her husband does that one a lot. Wolverine, Wildlife Science, Wild Harvest, and we also have some backpacking destination camps, which are up in the mountains, and those are more teen-oriented. And that's just to name a few. The kids get a chance to learn from a different perspective and to develop their awareness skills by trying to get them into the mind of an animal. We have them walk the way animals walk. We have them practice using more than just eyesight for a sense. So focusing on hearing and on touch and smell and those feelings that you get when things are approaching, and just learning how to view the world from more of an animal perspective and how we used to live before all the technology and indoor living that we do now. They get to learn how to camouflage. They learn about wild edibles and medicinal plants. They make meals with them and collect them. They get to recreate an ancient village in that Ancient Ways camp and learn what it was sort of like to live without tools and build a community and share between 2 different clans by participating in music or storytelling, or maybe leaving gifts, or learning how to do natural arts, be it making design with natural materials that they find, or making things out of bamboo, or whatever it is that strikes their fancy. They get to participate in music a lot during that camp, especially the Ancient Ways camp. And basically all of our camps, be it that they're learning those kinds of things, or learning how to go track animals, or wildlife science is obviously more science-based, so they're going to go out and do turtle telemetry practice with the conservation team. They may do their own little inventories of sites and see how many insects they find in a field plot or field study, or go down in the creeks and try to do water quality testing. But all of those activities are to get those kids comfortable and connected with their natural world and be comfortable, especially in the woods outside. This summer we saw 820 kids here in Durham. We saw 112 kids in Raleigh, and we gave 70 scholarships, which were a combination of partial or full scholarships. So we get a wide range of kids here, which is just great. I mentioned the day camps earlier. We did 45 students from China for 2 different all-day camps that were about 12 hours long. And we got to teach them how to make fire. We got to teach them a lot about our local flora and fauna. And they were enthralled with squirrels, which, you know, we take for granted, but they really loved. So they were taking a lot of photos of those little guys and thought that we should conserve them and deer, which I had to laugh because I know that they don't have a whole lot of animals in their cities, so it's an interesting juxtaposition there. And we're trying to explore other areas to further expand our camp. We're kind of busting at our seams with the amount of kids that we have here all summer long. We also, like I mentioned, a homeschool program that will start up here in September. We don't have the staff to run that during the summer with all the camps you get, and space is kind of an issue as well. Some of our homeschool kids do participate in our summer camps here during that time, but during the school year, they're here for a 5-hour session each week, and those kids are aged from 30 to 17. We started with a group of about 8 kids, and we're up to about 35 in that program now, and it's a similar format to our camps, building the community and the skills and thus connection with nature. And we do give out about $2,400 in scholarships for that program last year, and I anticipate it to be about the same for this year. And as well, adult classes, we have a lot of parents that find out what we do during camps or hear what their kids have been doing, and they want to attend camp here, which I really think we should just do an adult camp. But the best we can do for now is to offer some of those classes. So we do have wild harvest classes that are based on what's available during the season. Those classes occur on a Saturday. They're usually about 5 hours long or so, and you go out and get to learn about a lot of things that you may think is a weed in your yard that is actually a very healthy edible. And we have someone who's a wild foods chef. Her name is Tanith Tier, and she makes these incredible gourmet meals with what we harvest, and that's our celebration at the end of the class, is to have this wonderful feast that she makes. So we look forward to more classes with her this fall and winter. We have a community leadership plan program that just started this year, and it is a 6-month program that meets twice a month, and it's designed to explore the archetypes of leadership, peer mentoring, and practice facilitation and finding your growing edge as an emerging leader. It's great for professionals of all capacities, be it teachers or people in the business world, so we're hoping to bridge more of the gaps. We've got a lot of people in there that feel like they're elders in their community or their churches and want to help be better leaders in that respect, and then also teachers that are involved with that right now. We hope to launch the second session later this fall, where it will be a 2-tiered, so the people in it now will have stepped up and help lead new people coming into that program. They also help teach an Awakening Natural Community, which is a collaboration with Pickett's Mountain Eco Institute that's in the Chapel Hill area, and that's to help people learn how to connect with nature and explore healing power, not only for themselves but also for the community. Again, going back to that nature deficit disorder, we've gotten so disconnected from our natural world that people forget how much that regenerates you and helps you think clearly and gives you lift and great spirit. So we're trying to get an avenue for people to reawakening that part of life. And then we have Owl Prowls that our director leads out at Mason Farm Park. out near Finley Golf Course in Chapel Hill. That's part of the Botanical Gardens in Chapel Hill. But there's some great barred owls and great horned owls out there, and she is a wonderful person to go out and call the owls in, so you get to experience that. And then she also brings our owls that we have here as ambassadors, so you get to have a close encounter with them and really get to see them in a whole new light, which is really fun. And then our other program, which is really family oriented, is something called the Piedmont Earth Skills Gathering, which takes place out at Chicory Hills, and the next one's going to be the second weekend of April. You can camp out there, you can come out for the day, you can come either as an adult or a family, but we have experts come from all over the Piedmont and the Southeast that share all sorts of skills, from survival skills like building shelters to learning friction fire to tanning hides to wild medicine, wild edible walks. They will make different instruments. There's somebody that makes didgeridoos. There's a guy that came and taught people how to make bow and arrow and shoot those last year. Drums. It's just really an incredible event, and also a great community. They do a lot of music and fire building and storytelling and things like that at night. And then lastly, our after-school programs. These are programs that we go to Durham elementary schools and some Carbo Chapel Hill schools and one charter school out in Hillsboro. That started as a pilot program at Creekside Elementary about 4 years ago. We started out there with kids that were enrolled in after school, and when we went to the woods, they were afraid to go in the woods. It took the entire semester to get them to enter the woods, so we luckily were able to continue the following year, and now they don't want to come out of the woods regardless of the weather, which is great. So from that, we expanded to Forest View Elementary and Southwest Elementary schools. We were in Githens Middle School for a while. That's a challenging age group to work with, and although they need the connection, there's a lot of competition going on with sports and so many extracurricular activities that we ended up dropping that program this year. But we send instructors and staff out to those schools. Those schools see us usually once a week for about 7 weeks each semester. We do run 2 semesters in the spring and 1 in the fall. We try to do a condensed version of our camps, but they go over very well. Like I said, we're getting the kids out in the woods. In the Durham schools, we offer a day for kids that aren't enrolled in aftercare that can stay late a day and go outside and learn with us. And then the other day of the week is for kids that are enrolled in after school and sign up and are able to join us. And we do offer scholarships to students of all those schools, and we also offer a discounted price for other families to be able to participate. We have an interesting setup in the Chapel Hill Carbo school system where we got a grant to provide the program for all the kids that are in the after-school program at 3 of the schools there. And we actually did a training for the teachers so that they could help us facilitate the program, which is great because we're getting them outside, and then they kind of have the energy and continue the program when we're not there, which is phenomenal. We do give them evaluations and quizzes to see if they can do the skills that we're teaching, like the nature awareness skills or learning how to use field guides and microscopes or things like that. We served 261 students last year in Durham schools, about 150 in the Chapel Hill Carbo schools, and that's just for one session, and 24 at the Expedition School in Hillsboro, which is also a 2-hour club that they offer, so that's a little bit different format. Students are showing a 58% increase in naturalist knowledge, and 37% of the students are showing improvement in their attitudes towards nature, be it their behavior, what they think about animals, and that fear level that we talked about, and how often they're getting outside. One of the things that we like to ask them when we give them those quizzes and those questionnaires are what their favorite thing is that they learned or what they like about being outside. And I would love to share some of those quotes with you, a few from the students, a couple from the parents, and from the teachers. So I'll finish with those and then open it up to questions. So the first one is, my favorite was finding a tick on my face. This is from a girl who came to Creekside Elementary dressed in skirts and nice clothes to go out in the woods and get dirty all the time. So it was great that she went from having that fear to excited to find one on her face and be able to identify what it was. Another kid said, plain and simple, getting dirty and meeting the cool animal, the rat snake. We went through mud and water. Another kid said, when we took down a tree and I became nature. It is fun and cool to learn about nature by walking in the woods. My daughter taught me all you taught her. From one of the teachers, how much what you taught us helped us learn and discover the rest of the week after y'all had been here. And a parent about her child, her comfort level with being in the woods improved the most. She used to be scared to go out there, and now she loves to go out there all the time and share those things she discovers with me. And this one is my favorite from a student, and it's a little rough because I'm going to try to read it exactly as it was written, which was not with the best spelling, but it definitely gets the point. The feeling of the wind breezing you, having the sun screaming on your face and going through your mouth, and somehow going to your brain, telling you're in the right place, or the rain freckling your top to bottom, the smell of fresh water. So the way, if you're interested in getting involved, like I said, we have classes for adults that you can take. We have an annual auction that will take place the weekend of November 12th, and we have tickets for sale, or we'll have tickets for sale. We are currently taking donations and sponsors for that. You're able to donate or sponsor a class or event, and we have a link on our webpage for that, as well as we have setups through Global Giving Foundation for our camps and our school programs, through our website for just in general donations, with including our conservation team. And then we actually have a donation page on CrowdRise right now. Penelope the possum that I shared with you earlier, when we got her from a rehabilitation center in Atlanta, she had a tail that had a scar at the end that was not healing, and they ended up having to do surgery and take off part of her tail. You can become a member. You can join the board. We're still looking for board members, or we also have plenty of volunteer opportunities, be that teaching our programs or helping us teach our programs in those schools, helping with animal care, being part of our Raptor team. So those are the ways to get involved, and I thank you for having me and hoping to see you in the wild, and would love to answer any questions you have, be it what I talked about or any stories.